Okay, so this is one of those questions that, man, I love to get and hate to get, and it's just so screwed up. And I hate the fact that anybody thinks this way, but I have thought this way. In that this person right now, he's got a disability, he's got some serious health problems, and he messaged me. He's a TSL Online member. We've heard him on the calls if you're on that, and he basically said, "Look, man, I have a lot of health problems. I'm not going to get into detail on it here, and so I'll skip over that." And they are. I mean, they're very real. And he says, "Look, I'm just at the point right now where I don't feel like I have any chances lately of making an authentic connection with somebody." And there's a couple sides to this. Number one, logistically, if you're in the hospital and you just can't do anything, and the nurses you can talk to and all that sort of stuff, that's cool. But there's a huge limitation there where you cannot physically talk to anybody because you don't have exposure. But there's this other side that I hear so much, and this is the part that is just a bummer, man, is that we think because of something about us, we're automatically limited in life. All right. Because I'm not tall enough, my dick is too small, I have hepatitis C, I have HIV, I have herpes, I have whatever the fuck it is, that somehow we can't communicate. We are cut out of a huge part of the enjoyment of being social. And the worst part about it is that it's not even that, it's that we can't, we feel that we don't deserve it somehow because this has happened to us. Now, look, there's a whole bunch about, shit, dude, if you're born in America, you're limited by being here, and you're probably not going to find a girlfriend in Asia. Or if you're born 5'6" or 5'3" or whatever, you're not going to have the same things as somebody who's 6 foot. But at the same time, being social and connecting with other people, to think that that's not going to, that now you're limited for that and you can't have that is just a horrible thought. Look, everything, if you are alive right now and you are talking and you can think and you can function in some way, if you own a body, you can fucking have an amazing social life. And if you can have sex, you can have a sexual life. The problem is that we think that our value of having a social and sexual life is dependent upon what we see in other people. Okay. Like, all right, I'm short, or I'm Asian, or I'm sick, and a hot chick or the hot chick that I want isn't going to like me. And that's something that I've thought. That's something that I could think now. That's something that, 10 years from now, I could think again. But that is something that I only think when I'm not being social or sexual. And the beauty of it is I can be absolutely fulfilled socially and sexually by connecting with somebody. And here's the big difference. It doesn't matter. Sure, I want her to be hot. I want her to be darker featured. I want her to have big tits, nice hips, nice ass. I want her pussy to feel good. I want her to fuck me and talk to me in all sorts of different ways. And actually, man, I was talking about this last night with my buddy, and God, that was an insane conversation. But we were like, man, just one woman isn't enough to satisfy a man. It's just that it's not there. Both of us are monogamous, and we were just talking about how that gets old after a while. You feel the urge for monogamy, but then a year, 2, 3, 4 years later, it's like, oh shit, this is tough. But the idea that we think that is what's going to fulfill us. The image, the idea, the whatever it is from a woman, the achievement of getting laid, man, that is ridiculous. Any guy that has had sex, any guy that has fallen in love, any guy that actually has achieved a level of sexual life to where he's confident about himself, realizes it isn't about all that. The pussy's good. The tits are good. The fucking beauty is good. The walking around and being popular and accepted is good. But what makes it good is the connection. What's going to make your sex life good, and we'll get to the social part, they're a little bit different, is how you're having sex, how you're expressing yourself, how you're changing from putting your masculine into her feminine or whatever, your dick into her pussy, and how that changes you and reshapes you and changes her. And that's where the real value comes out of. I mean, any guy, we hear this over and over again from guys like Jim or man, pretty much whoever else like talks about it. Even the Jesus Tiger, that guy is having amazing times right now, which is, it's fucking crazy. Like, God, man, I like meet that guy out and he's traveling around the world with like 3 different girls that are all very, very hot. And so there's like all this shit happening, but he even says, and we all come upon this point and agree to it, that it's like any girl, she could be average. She could be something that we never thought we wanted. There's a beauty, there's a sexual beauty when, God, man, you see her face change for you when she gives you her orgasm, when she's turned on, when she's aroused. And, you know, when you're talking to her and you get to a point of connection that's only defined by you and her, that is fucking the best part of it. Sure, all that other stuff is good and we enjoy it, but it is a byproduct of that connection happening. And then when we move to the social connection, it's very similar. It's the same thing, man. It's when you affect her and she affects you and all those things happen, but it's not dependent upon sex, and it doesn't have the same characteristics of like, you know, those super high levels of, just your mind changes when you're fucking, man. And we talk about that a lot. But the point where if you think your self-worth has to do with a goal or an achievement or people accepting you, man, you're very wrong. You'll never find an answer, because your self-worth so much can change when you just connect with somebody. You talk to somebody, you ask them how they're doing. They open up and say how they're doing. You care about that moment. You start to feel something, and that is where things change. It's such a bummer that because of, you know, whatever things out there, extraneous stuff, like, man, fuck, like, you know, I'm sick. I'm really, really sick, and I have a lot of health problems right now. You can still partake in one of the most beautiful fundamental things that makes you human to anybody out there. And don't make it about them being hot. Don't make it about them being a certain social status. Don't make it about getting a goal that you have to acquire this woman's phone number or whatever. Make it about being yourself and putting that in front of somebody, man. And that's where you'll realize this power, this beauty that is inside you that can only be seen and recognized when it connects with somebody else. And that's really what all the social dynamics are about. If you can go to a cafe, if you can go out on the street, if you can even pick up the phone and talk to somebody, you know, and you probably don't feel like that. I mean, shit, dude, you know, sometimes I have to force myself to do that. Then you can make that connection. And that's fucking awesome. That's something that every single person should be going for. Of course, we're motivated by all this like shiny light, big deal stuff, but goddamn, our motivation every day should be to take what is inside of us, whether we see it as good, beautiful, ugly, fucked up, awesome, the best thing in the world, and put it out there in the world and let somebody touch it. Let somebody move it, maneuver it, change it, and then have it feed back into us and see what happens. See what happens when another person affects us. And we can start technically doing that by saying hello, asking how people are doing, asking how their day's going, saying, man, nobody asks that anymore. Like, I really want to know. I don't just want the canned answer. Or share about yourself. Man, I'm having a good day. Man, I'm having a bad day. Man, I legitimately feel like I can't, you know, have a real connection with somebody. You know, what is that for you? Start with you and put that out there in the world and see what comes back to you. And that's a fucking awesome thing. That's a human experience. That's a birthright, you know, but it takes you to start to live it.